ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Chapter 9, Dhruva Maharaj returns home. Text 1. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the demigods were thus reassured by the personality of Godhead, they were freed from all fears, and after offering their obeisances, they returned to their heavenly planets. Then the Lord, who is non different from the Sahasra Shirsha incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to the Madhuvan forest to see his servant Dhruva. Text 2. The form of the Lord, which was brilliant, like lightning, and in which Dhruva Maharaj, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus Dhruva was perturbed, and his meditation broke. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present, just as he had been seeing the Lord in his heart. Text 3. When Dhruv Maharaj saw his Lord just in front of him, he was greatly agitated and offered him obeisances and respect. He fell flat before him like a rod and became absorbed in love of Godhead. Dhruv Maharaj, in ecstasy, looked up upon the Lord as if he was drinking the Lord with his eyes, kissing the lotus feet of the Lord with his mouth, and embracing the Lord with his arms. Text 4. Although Dhruv Maharaj was a small boy, he wanted to offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in suitable language. But because he was inexperienced, he could not adjust himself immediately. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, could understand Dhruv Maharaj's awkward position. Out of causeless mercy, he touched his conch shell to the forehead of Dhruv Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. Text 5. At that time, Dhruv Maharaj became perfectly aware of the Vedic conclusion and understood the absolute truth and his relationship with all living entities. In accordance with the line of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, whose fame is widespread, Dhruva, who in the future would receive a planet which would never be annihilated even during the time of dissolution, offered his deliberate and conclusive prayers. Um, Matajis, would anybody like to continue reading text 6 through 10?
I can read. 6. Dhruva Maharaj said, "My dear Lord, you are all powerful. After entering within me, you have enlivened all my sleeping senses, my hands, legs, ears, touch sensation, life force, and especially my power of speech. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you." 7. My Lord, you are the Supreme One, but by your different energies, you appear differently in the spiritual and material worlds. You create the total energy of the material world by your external potency. And after creation, you enter within the material world as the supersoul. You are the supreme person, and through the temporary modes of material nature, you create varieties of manifestation, just as fire, entering into wood of different shapes, burns brilliantly in different varieties. 8. O my master, Lord Brahma is fully surrendered unto you. In the beginning, you gave him knowledge, and thus he could see and understand the entire universe, just as a person awakens from sleep and visualizes his immediate duties. You are the only shelter of all persons who desire liberation, and you are the friend of all who are distressed. How, therefore, can a learned person who has perfect knowledge ever forget you? 9. Persons who worship you simply for the sense gratification of this bag of skin are certainly influenced by your illusory energy. In spite of having you, who are like a desire tree and are the cause of liberation from birth and death, foolish persons such as me desire benedictions from you for sense gratification, which is available even for those who live in hellish conditions. 10. My Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, wherein one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme, since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service. Then what to speak of the temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by the separating sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, he falls down in due course of time. Hare Krishna.
Text 11. Dhruv Maharaj continued, O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I may associate with great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly, as the waves of a river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the nascent ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of blazing fire like dangers. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes, which are eternally existent. Text 12. O Lord, you have a lotus navel. If a person happens to associate with a devotee whose heart always hankers after your lotus feet, seeking always their fragrance, he is never attached to the material body or in a bodily relationship to offsprings, friends, home, wealth, and wife, which are very, very dear to materialistic persons. Indeed, he does not care for them. 13. My dear Lord, O Supreme Unborn, I know that the different varieties of living entities, such as animals, trees, birds, reptiles, demigods, and human beings, are spread throughout the universe, which is caused by the total material energy. And I know that they are sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. But I have never experienced the supreme form I behold as I see you now. Now, all kinds of methods of theorizing have come to an end. 14. My dear Lord, at the end of each millennium, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, dissolves everything manifested within the universe into his belly. He lies down on the lap of Sheshanag. From his navel sprouts a golden lotus flower on his stem, and on that lotus, Lord Brahma is created. I can understand that you are the same Supreme Godhead, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Text 15. So, am I supposed to read or you start reading from text 15?
I'm sorry, I was muted. You read 15 and I read 16.
Okay. Text 15. My Lord, by your unbroken transcendental glance, you are the supreme witness of all stages of intellectual activities. You are eternally liberated. Your existence is situated in pure goodness, and you are existent in the supersoul without change. You are the original personality of Godhead, full with six opulences, and you are eternally the master of the three modes of material nature. Thus, you are always different from the ordinary living entities. As Lord Vishnu, you maintain all the affairs of the entire universe, and yet you stand aloof and are the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. So, Lavanya Mataji has also joined. Lavanya Mataji, would you like to read? Okay, Manasikanga Mataji, maybe you can go ahead.
Okay. 16. My dear Lord, in your impersonal manifestation of Brahman, there are always two opposing elements, knowledge and ignorance. Your multi energies are continually manifest, but the impersonal Brahman, which is undivided, original, changeless, unlimited, and blissful, is the cause of the material manifestation. Because you are the same impersonal Brahman, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. 17. My Lord, O Supreme Lord, you are the supreme personified form of all benediction. Therefore, for one who abides in your devotional service with no other desire, worshiping your lotus feet is better than becoming king and lording it over a kingdom. That is the benediction of worshiping your lotus feet. To ignorant devotees like me, you are the causelessly merciful maintainer, just like a cow who takes care of a newly born calf by supplying milk and giving it protection from attack. 18. The great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, when Dhruva Maharaj, who had good intentions in his heart, finished his prayer, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees and servants, congratulated him, speaking as follows. 19. The personality of Godhead said, my dear Dhruva, son of the king, you have executed pious vows, and I know the desire within your heart. Although your desire is very ambitious and very difficult to fulfill, I shall favor you with its fulfillment. All good fortune unto you. 2021. Should I read them? Should I read the entire thing?
Sure.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead continued, my dear Dhruva, I shall award you the glowing planet known as the pole star, which will continue to exist even after the dissolution at the end of the millennium. No one has ever ruled this planet, which is surrounded by all the solar systems, planets, and stars. All the luminaries in the sky circumambulate this planet, just as bulls tread around a central pole for the purpose of crushing grains. Keeping the pole star to their right, all the stars inhabited by the great sages like Dharma, Agni, Kasyapa, and Sukra circumambulate this planet, which continues to exist even after the dissolution of all others.
Thank you, Mataji. Lavanya Mataji, are you able to hear us? Would you like to read?
Yes, Mataji, where we are reading today now? Hare
So we
Krishna.
are reading only the translations for chapter 9, just to understand the flow of the chapters. So no.
Yes, Mataji. One
So
second, Mataji. Which verses we have to read, Mataji?
Mataji, you will be reading, actually, generally you will be reading 21 through 25, but since 20 and 21 are together, you will be reading 22 through 25.
Okay, Mataji. Chapter 9.
It's also showing on your screen if you have joined from a computer.
Yeah, I'm joining on the phone. It's very small. I read on book by book through book only.
Okay.
Um, so 22. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. After your father goes to the forest and awards you the rule of his kingdom, you will rule continuously the entire world for 36,000 years, and all your senses will continue to be as strong as they are now. You will never become old. 23. The Lord continued, sometime in the future, your brother Uttama will go hunting in the forest, and while absorbed in hunting, he will be killed. Your stepmother Suruchi, being maddened upon the death of her son, will go to search him out in the forest, but she will be devoured by a forest fire. 24. The Lord continued, I am the heart of all sacrifices. You will be able to perform many great sacrifices and also give great charities. In this way, you will be able to enjoy the blessings of material happiness in this life, and at the time of your death, you will be able to remember me. 25. The personality of Godhead continued, my dear Dhruva, after your material life in this body, you will go to my planet, which is always offered obeisances by the residents of all other planetary systems. It is situated above the planets of the seven rishis, and having gone there, you will never have to come back again to this material world. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, text 26. The great say, who is supposed to read? Me or Manasi Ganga Mataji?
I think you are.
Okay. Text 26. The great sage Maitreya said, after being worshipped and honored by the boy Dhruva Maharaj, and after offering him his abode, Lord Vishnu, on the back of Garuda, returned to his abode as Dhruva Maharaj looked on. 27. Despite having achieved the desired result of his determination by worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord, Dhruva Maharaj was not very pleased. Thus he returned to his home. 28. Sri Vedura inquired, my dear Brahmanas, the abode of the Lord is very difficult to attain. It can be attained only by pure devotional service, which alone pleases the most affectionate, merciful Lord. Dhruv Maharaj achieved this position even in one life, and he was very wise and conscientious. Why then was he not very pleased? 29. Maitreya answered, Dhruv Maharaj's heart, which was pierced by the arrows of the harsh words of his stepmother, was greatly aggrieved, and thus, when he fixed upon his goal of life, he did not forget her misbehavior. He did not demand actual liberation from this material world, but at the end of his devotional service, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared before him, he was simply ashamed of the material demands he had in his mind. 30. Dhruva Maharaj thought to himself, to endeavor to be situated in the shade of the lotus feet of the Lord is not an ordinary task, because even the great brahmacharis, headed by Sanandana, who practiced Ashtanga Yoga in trance, attained the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet only after many, many births. Within 6 months, I achieved the same result. Yet, due to my thinking differently from the Lord, I fell down from my position.
Has
So,
anybody, is
Manasi
there anybody?
Mataji next.
Okay. 31. Alas, just look at me. I am so unfortunate. I approach the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can immediately cut the chain of the repetition of birth and death. But still, out of my foolishness, I prayed for things which are perishable. 32. Since all the demigods who are situated in the higher planetary system will have to come down again, they are all envious of my being elevated to Vaikuntha Loka by devotional service. These intolerant demigods have dissipated my intelligence, and only for this reason could I not accept the genuine benediction of the instructions of sage Narada. 33. Dhruva Maharaj lamented, I was under the influence of the illusory energy. Being ignorant of the actual facts, I was sleeping on her lap. Under a vision of duality, I saw my brother as my enemy, and falsely I lamented within my heart, thinking, they are my enemies. 34. It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but in my case, although I have satisfied the super soul of the whole universe, I have prayed only for useless things. My activities were exactly like treatment given to a person who is already dead. Just see how unfortunate I am, for in spite of meeting the Supreme Lord, who can cut one's link with birth and death, I have prayed for the same conditions again. 35. Because of my state of complete foolishness and paucity of pious activities, although the Lord offered me his personal service, I wanted material name, fame, and prosperity. My case is just like that of a poor man who, when he satisfied a great emperor who wanted to give him anything he might ask, out of ignorance, asked only for a few broken grains of husked rice.
Lavanya Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Text 36. The great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, persons like you who are pure devotees of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can offer liberation and who are always attached to the honey of his lotus feet, are always satisfied in serving at the lotus feet of the Lord. In any condition of life, such persons remain satisfied, and thus they never ask the Lord for material prosperity. 37. When King Uttanapada heard that his son Dhruva was coming back home, as if coming back to life after death, he could not put his faith in this message, for he was doubtful of how it could happen. He considered himself the most wretched, and therefore he thought that it was not possible for him to attain such good fortune. 38. Although he could not believe the words of the messenger, he had full faith in the word of the great sage Narada. Thus he was greatly overwhelmed by the news, and he immediately offered the messenger a high valuable necklace in great satisfaction. 39:40. Then King Uttanapada, being very eager to see the face of his lost son, mounted a chariot drawn by excellent horses and bedecked with golden filigree, taking with him many learned brahmanas, all the elderly personalities of his family, his officers, his ministers, and his immediate friends. He immediately left the city. As he proceeded in this parade, there were auspicious sounds of conch shells, kettle drums, flutes, and the chanting of Vedic mantras to indicate all good fortune. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 41. Both the queens of King Uttanapada, namely Suniti and Suruchi, along with his other son Uttam, appeared in the procession. The queens were seated on a palanquin. 42-43. Upon seeing Dhruv Maharaj approaching the neighboring small forest, King Uttanapad, with great haste, got down from his chariot. He had been very anxious for a long time to see his son Dhruva, and therefore, with great love and affection, he went forward to embrace his long lost boy. Breathing very heavily, the king embraced him with both arms. But Dhruv Maharaj was not the same as before. He was completely sanctified by the spiritual advancement due to having been touched by the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 44. Reunion with Dhruv Maharaj filled King Uttanapad's long cherished desire, and for this reason he smelled Dhruv Maharaj's head again and again and bathed him with torrents of very cold tears. 45. Then Dhruv Maharaj, the foremost of all nobles, first of all offered his obeisances at the feet of his father and was honored by his father with various questions. He then bowed his head at the feet of his two mothers.
46. Saruchi, the younger mother of Dhruva Maharaj, seeing that the innocent boy had fallen at her feet, immediately picked him up, embracing him with her hands, and with tears of feeling, she blessed him with the words, "My dear boy, long may you live." 47. Unto one who has transcendental qualities due to friendly behavior with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities offer honor, just as water automatically flows down by nature. 48. The two brothers, Uttama and Dhruva Maharaj, also exchanged their tears. They were overwhelmed by the ecstasy of love and affection, and when they embraced one another, the hair on their bodies stood up. 49. Suniti, the real mother of Dhruva Maharaj, embraced the tender body of her son, who was dearer to her than her own life, and thus forgot all material grief, for she was very pleased. 50. My dear Vidura, Sunuti was the mother of a great hero. Her tears, together with the milk flowing from her breasts, wet the whole body of Dhruva Maharaj. This was a great auspicious sign.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Lavanya, it's your turn.
Yeah. The residents of the palace praised the queen. Dear queen, your beloved son was lost a long time ago, and it is your great fortune that he now has come back. It appears, therefore, that your son will be able to protect you for a very long time and will put an end to all your material pangs. 52. Dear queen, you must have worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who delivers his devotees from the greatest danger. Persons who constantly meditate upon him surpass the course of birth and death. This perfection is very difficult to achieve. 53. The sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, when everyone was thus praising Dhruva Maharaja, the king was very happy, and he had Dhruva and his brother seated on the back of a she-elephant. Thus he returned to his capital, where he was praised by all classes of men. 54. The whole city was decorated with the columns of banana trees containing bunches of fruits and flowers, and betel nut trees with leaves and branches were seen here and there. There were also many gates set up which were structured to give the appearance of sharks. At 55, at each and every gate, there were burning lamps and big water pots decorated with differently colored cloth, strings of pearls, flower garlands, and hanging mango leaves. Thank you, Mataji.
56. In the capital city, there were many palaces, city gates, and surrounding walls, which were already very, very beautiful. And on this occasion, all of them were decorated with golden ornaments. The domes of the city palaces glittered, and as did the domes of the beautiful airplanes which hovered over the city. 57. All the quadrangles, lanes, and streets in the city, the raising sitting places at the crossings, were thoroughly cleansed and sprinkled with sandalwood water and auspicious grains such as rice and barley, and flowers, fruits, and many other auspicious presentations were scattered all over the city. 58 and 59. Thus, as Dhruva Maharaj passed on the road, from every place in the neighborhood, all the gentle household ladies assembled to see him, and out of maternal affection they offered their blessings, showering him with white mustard seeds, barley, curd, water, newly grown grass, fruits, and flowers. In this way, Dhruv Maharaj, while hearing the pleasing songs sung by the ladies, entered the palace of his father. 60. Dhruv Maharaj thereafter lived in his father's palace, which had walls bedecked with highly valuable jewels. His affectionate father took particular care of him, and he dwelt in that house just as demigods live in their palaces in the higher planetary systems.
61. The bedding in the palace was as white as the foam of milk and was very soft. The bedsteads were made of ivory with embellishments of gold, and the chairs, benches, and other sitting places and furniture were made of gold. 62. The palace of the king was surrounded by walls made of marble, with many engravings made of valuable jewels like sapphires, which depicted beautiful women with shining jewel lamps in their hands. 63. The king's residence was surrounded by gardens wherein there were varieties of trees brought from the heavenly planets. In those trees, there were pairs of sweetly singing birds and almost mad bumblebees, which made a very relishable buzzing sound. 64. There were emerald staircases which led to lakes full of variously colored lotus flowers and lilies, and swans, kandharvas, chakravakas, cranes, and similar other valuable birds were visible in those lakes. 65. The saintly king Uttanapada, hearing of the glorious deeds of Dhruva Maharaj and personally seeing also how influential and great he was, felt very satisfied, for Dhruva's activities were wonderful to the supreme degree.
Lavanya Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Text 66. When after concentration, King Uttanapada saw that Dhruva Maharaja was suitably matured to take charge of the kingdom, and that his ministers were agreeable and the citizens were also very fond of him, he enthroned Dhruva as emperor of this planet. 67. After considering his advanced age and deliberating on the welfare of his spiritual self, King Uttanapada detached himself from worldly affairs and entered the forest. Okay. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Dhruva Maharaja Returns Home. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Wow. Happy ending with the reunion of the family. Anyone would like to share how they felt while reading or hearing these passages of Srimad Bhagavatam?
Yeah, just the remorse that Dhruva had. The Lord was right there in front of him, and because of his prayers for something material, a planet of his own, he feels remorse later on in that, he could have been asking for service to the Lord or whatever, and he asked for something material, and just for us to learn from this example, I think is important. It's pretty much what it just was highlighted in my mind. That's pretty much what I liked out of this. And I did like also how the stepmother embraced him and
Yeah.
showed,
Mm.
I thought that was nice. I don't know if we're going to hear about, how she came about making a change in consciousness, and the dad too, unless I missed I think a day or so last week. I don't know if anything was said with regards to how they, if they came about, how it came about that their consciousness changed. Has anything been said?
Yes, actually, last week we read that when Dhruva did not return home for a long time, his father had become very anxious. He started feeling like, Dhruva has gone alone into the forest. Maybe the wolves or may have killed him and eaten him. So he was very, very anxious about Dhruva Maharaj's welfare and well being. So, but in the meantime, Narad Muni comes to him and he tells him, like, my dear king, like, please don't worry about your son. He has received the mercy of the Lord, and he has become a great personality. He'll spread your fame throughout the world, and please wait for some time because he's going to return home. So that gave some assurance to him, but he was still like extremely sad. But in the previous chapter, there was nothing that was said about how the stepmother and her consciousness changed. But I also took note of that she embraced him and in fact gave him blessings.
Yeah, thank you.
Mataji's, anybody else would like to share? Lavanya Mataji, Premarasa Mataji, Rohini Mataji.
Mataji, it's a very interesting, this chapter where Lord speaks and we get to know a lot of many things. I'm just looking forward to read that verse by verse from tomorrow. So, and also how old will be Dhruva Maharaja once he's returning back home, Mataji?
Actually, he achieved all this within 6 months. So if he left home at the age of 5, he would still be less than 6 years old.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but nice to know, Mataji. It's very over all the fourth canto. This part of the canto is very nice. Means with interesting pastime of Dhruva Maharaja. And yeah, Mataji. Yeah, just waiting to. So, is there any thoughts of changing time, Mataji? Even
Yeah,
I'm okay with any time, Mataji.
We should speak about it, Mataji, because previously also Manasi Ganga Mataji had requested, and we didn't reach a conclusion about it. So, how does everybody who's on the call feel about the time? Like, I and Primarissa, we responded by saying we really prefer the same time. But
for me also sometimes I'm forgetting, Mataji, because it's the thing is suddenly, because the weather is good right now, so trying to go out with the kids or like walking or like something. So I'm forgetting to join the call, but it's okay, Mataji. Anytime is fine with me. So 5 to 6 or 6 to 7, anything is okay with me. Whatever majority decides, that's fine.
How about Rohini Mataji? She is the only other person on the call today, so we can ask her also. Rohini Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Rohini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandabat Pranam, और गौरी सिल्ला प्रभुपाद की जाए.
Jai.
All the Mataji को भी जाए. प्रणाम
Rohini Mataji,
जी
you want to share anything about Dhruv Maharaj?
no I listening only very nice I
Hmm.
miss yesterday.
Hmm. So, Rohini Mataji, how would you feel? You think 5 o'clock is a good time for you, or there is another request from devotees to change the timing to 6:30? Which timing is better for you?
6:30 is no I don't know what to say. आपको चेंज करना है 6:30 to 7
6:30 to 7:30.
ओ 7:30 सब लोग एग्री है तो
नहीं माता जी, सिर्फ अभी पूछ रहे हैं कि किसको कौन सा टाइमिंग अच्छा रहेगा। सबको पूछ के फिर करेंगे। आपको क्या लगता है 5 o'clock ज्यादा अच्छा है और 6:30 ज्यादा अच्छा है?
5 तो अच्छा लगा क्योंकि शाम को तो सब गायत्री नुंदीर किधर किधर क्या क्या करना है ना पूजा नुंजा
हम्म।
आप देखिए आप लोग जो डिसाइड करेगा वो ठीक है कोई बात
नहीं माता जी, अभी तक कोई डिसीजन नहीं हुआ है।
हाँ जी
सिर्फ सारे डिवोटीज से पूछ रहे हैं कि कौन सा टाइम ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल है।
अच्छा अच्छा
हम्म।
आप देखिए
Mataji,
यस माता जी।
sorry to interrupt. Mataji, I just realized that I think 6:30 to 7:30 will be too late for me, Mataji. So if it is 6 to 7 or 5 to 6, that's better for me, Mataji.
ओके।
Because after 7, it will be dinner time and all. It will be a lot all chaos. I'm not able to concentrate much. So
Yeah.
5 to 6 or
Mataji,
6
you
to
can
7.
just put it on the are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
on
group,
the
WhatsApp group.
group?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that we
Okay.
know, we don't
Yes,
forget
yes.
your preferences.
Yes, Mataji, sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing, Mataji, because we want to know everyone's opinion, because we want everybody to continue joining. We don't want to miss out on someone. So
My question is, I didn't see yours and Primarasa's response. My concern when Sri Devi mentioned it to me was, I don't know if you're busy cooking for your Prabhus coming home from work. Is that the situation?
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, mostly the same with me.
How about you, Primarasa and Leela Manjari?
Mataji, like for me, like this is a good timing. After that, like like now my husband is working from home, but usually after that my husband comes back from work. So
Right.
that's the reason.
Yeah.
But you can ask Primaris also, like how she feels.
I don't know if she's hearing us now.
Okay, Primaris, are you still there?
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just ask her on the WhatsApp group chat.
Okay. Okay.
So Sridevi Mataji is not here because maybe she has gone for book distribution. She's doing nice service.
Who is that? Sri Devi?
Sridevi
Yeah.
Mataji,
Yeah,
she's
Sri
doing very
Devi.
nice service.
Yeah, that's why she brought it up, because she wants to be out there in the evening, when it's
makes sense.
yeah.
Before it's dark. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mataji, we still have to ask a few people like Antaranga Seva Mataji, Dhira Shanta Mataji, and Govardhan Leela Mataji. But for now, whoever is today on today's call, we know their opinion.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
So we'll ask them tomorrow. Maybe more people will join tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna. I know at one point when I was living in Rochester, wasn't it? Did we not have no, we had it a 4 to 5 o'clock. That's what it was at one point. Wasn't it 4 to 5? And then we changed it 5 to 6, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that works better also for Sri Devi. If
How
everybody
about
else.
you? Are you comfortable with 4 to 5?
Me?
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it, but when if you want to put it on the chat, I'll think about it and respond, or that could be an alternative if we can't seem to figure out, what would work. I don't know. Let me just think about it myself. I haven't really thought about how it would work for me. 4 to 5.
Hmm. But let's just think between these two timings, and then if it doesn't work, we will start thinking about a new timing, because I think it will be more confusing if we add more options. So
Right.
hmm.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
think about 6:30 to 7:30 first. Then we can think about 4 to 5 also.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I was just wondering. I couldn't remember what that other timing had been at the beginning. Okay. So Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare
Jai.
Krishna.